Hello. This past Sunday, I read something to the congregation that I believe the Lord gave me to share with those who were in attendance. We weren't able to record that service because it was outdoors, but many have asked to be able to hear that or to hear it again. So I thought I'd take a minute and just read it to you one more time so that those who could benefit from it may have that opportunity. It's simply entitled A Response to the George Floyd death and tragedy. We've all been impacted and horrified by the events of the past few days in our nation concerning the wrongful actions that led to the death of George Floyd. Our news networks are flooded with sights and sounds of a nation reeling from the aftershock of this senseless crime. They document the reactions of faces and feelings sparked by anger and shock, outrage, hopelessness, and fear. There's so much that can be said. There's so much that's already been said and will continue to be said from every perspective, opinion, and persuasion. I've been seeking the Lord over what I should say to you, each of you. It's not my desire to simply add my voice to all the social commentary that's being offered from every segment of society. My calling is to be a local pastor, and my charge is to care for the souls of those who are connected to this local assembly. So my purpose in these couple of minutes is very specific and very narrow. With that, there's only two things I would like to share with you. They have nothing to do with the cultural, legal, or political issues that are unfolding. I want to address two core issues, two heart issues that are vital to us as a church community and as Christians. They are, what can we do for each other, which is a corporate charge, and secondly, what are we to do individually, a personal charge. So first, what can we do for each other? Tragedies like this never happen in a vacuum. No one has lost more or is suffering more than the Floyd family and their circle of friends. But like a stone tossed in a lake, this event has sent ripples across our country. We have all lost something precious. There's no winner here. We've all been diminished. Whether you're young or old, rich, poor, white, Hispanic, Asian, or Native American, this has happened to all of us. But this moment has been especially impacting to every African American citizen and family. Historic and cultural wounds have been opened. Reminders of things that we're trying to overcome have come flooding back. The scars are deep, and the grief is real. So to each of our African American brothers and sisters, and especially those who are part of this church family, today we weep with you in this time of hurt and loss. Even though our personal ethnicity may keep us from fully understanding your pain in this experience, know that your church family is with you. We stand with you. We're here for you, and our hearts are open to you. Jesus Christ has made us one. We're eternally linked, and this loss is personal to us because it's personal to you. May we never allow the walls of division that the cross of Jesus has already destroyed be rebuilt in our fellowship with each other. For the culture, this is a time of stress and tension. But for this church, this is a time of compassion, openness, and oneness. Secondly, what can we do individually? Every Christian must be against every form of injustice that violates the word and character of our God, and must respond to that kind of injustice. But the question is how? How do we seek justice in a way that aligns with God's will and His ways? In the coming weeks, you're going to hear voices of every cultural group, every organization and faction, each attempting to shape a narrative that best fits their perspective, all vying for your attention and your agreement. As Christians, what should our narrative be? How are we to think and respond personally to this kind of darkness? The prophet Micah asks his important question. How are we to come before the Lord? What should our stand before God look like, regardless of the situations or circumstances that are swirling around us? What does He want to find us doing and being today, individually, as His sons and daughters, in this experience? The Lord answers us through the prophet of what our personal responsibility is, what He expects of each of us. He says, do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. This is to be the blend and mixture of virtues that we're called to pursue and demonstrate from our hearts during times like this one. This is also how we guard our heart from being overcome by the darkness and trauma that encompasses us. Doing justice. It isn't about getting mad. It's not about getting even. It's about doing what is righteous in God's eyes. Loving mercy means that even in the darkest times, we look for redemptive solutions. And walking humbly before God calls us to put aside our flesh and put on the character of Jesus, who humbled himself so that he could rescue others. These words may not be easy to hear against the clamor and the emotion of this crisis. Our flesh may want to reject and even scream against it. But if we'll receive it, if we'll pursue it, our soul will find a good place, a place of peace, of wisdom, of contentment, even in a storm of injustice. Growing up, my parents set a certain standard for our family. And when challenges in life caused me to question those standards, the response was always the same: because you're a Glagora. We live up to those certain standards because of who we are. God speaks to us through his word today. Ephesians says, "For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. So walk as children of light." He's saying, your standard's higher. You're not to think and act the way everyone else does. He calls each of us to something more. Why? Because you're a Christian. Because we're called by his name. When injustice tries to rule, people of justice, of mercy, and of humility must rise up. That's the role of his church. And that's God's charge to each of us and all of us today. God bless you.